And so, hey, everybody, welcome to the Live Your Story community. Um, I am really excited today because I get to talk with some good friends that I've known for a while. And if you do not know them, you need to get to know them. And they would tell you they're far from perfect, but they're very humble people, which I love about them. But we're getting ready to interview Ben and Charity DeVries out of Loveland, Colorado. These guys are powerhouses in the online world. They are one of the top businesses in Amazon. They are glampers. They own several businesses that are highly successful online. I think there's some wisdom to be learned from them. So, you guys, thank you for stopping by today. Ben, Charity, thank you for hanging out with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
Great to be here.
So Charity, you and I, we know what we're doing here.
Yes, yeah, evidently so.
The matching shirts. Ben, next time I expect better, okay? And well, you guys, I know I kind of introduced you a little bit, and here's kind of where I want to start today. And I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, what am I going to ask these guys? And we had kind of talked a little bit beforehand. But I really would like to just kind of hear where you're at today and to start things. And then I want to kind of go back in the past and let people understand, okay, here's where you are right now with your business, with your family, all those kind of things. And then how did you get here? I think it's super important for people to be able to hear that story from you guys of what was life like beforehand. So if you don't mind, just catch the viewers up and let them know who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So we own a couple of different businesses, actually 3 different businesses that we own and operate now. And so all of our businesses are 100% online based. And really what that does for us is it provides us time and location freedom. So we can run our businesses, we can, do what we need to do on a daily basis, really from anywhere in the world, as long as we have an internet connection, which is pretty much anywhere in the world these days.
Yeah.
So the wonderful thing about that is what that has enabled us to do is it's enabled us to travel as a family a lot more. So during the school year, when our kids are in school and they're also involved in just some extracurricular activities, kind of sports things that follow the school year schedule. So we're more stationary. We do have some travel plans coming up for, during Christmas break and when they're out of school. But then during the summer, when they're out of school, we jump in our RV and we're full-time RVers for those summer months. So we started a YouTube channel at the beginning of this year of 2019, just to kind of really document our journey and our travels and kind of just, hopefully inspire other families to be able to, just get out there and spend time together, whatever that looks like. Not everybody can jump in an RV and take off, but, a lot of people can maybe throw a tent in the back of the car and, head up, to some place that's local or something like that. And so, so we started that. It's just a way to document. And then it's been really fun too, because our kids, like when we came home from being on the road for 3 months, and then like the kids, their neighborhood friends, they like brought them all inside and they open up the computer and they're just like, watch all of our YouTube videos. Because they just wanted to show all of their friends.
You're the cool parents.
I guess so. But it was just fun for them because then they could look back and they had a way to share what, where we actually were with their friends in a really visual way. So where they could actually see, Key West, Florida. They could actually, see Bandelier National Monument. They could actually, look and see visually and experience a little bit of where we were along with us in that sense.
Okay. So honestly, I'm not a big RVer, but I love it. And I would love to be part of that. I never heard of the term glamper. So What is a glamper?
So really, okay, so here's the deal. I kind of like, I grew up with my family and, we tent camped, which was fine because that's just where my family was at the time. And that's the resources that they had available. And so, my parents just wanted to invest in memories with us kids, and that's fine, except for, I remember about 11, 12 years old, when you kind of start to become a teenager, where I'm like, sleeping on the ground just isn't cool anymore.
Right.
Like
Hurts.
not having a bathroom isn't cool anymore. Like, this just this isn't fun. And so we still wanted to be able to, camp, but we didn't want to camp. So glamping or glamper, it's really interesting. It's kind of like this new sort of Urban Dictionary term
Okay.
of
They wear these
glamorous
shirts too, right? They wear these.
camping.
Okay.
What?
They wear these kind of shirts too?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. The lumberjack shirts. So it's like glamorous camping, or somebody who's a camper, but you bring in the glamour with the camper, and then you become a glamper.
Okay.
So,
That reminds me
so
of that Duck Dynasty episode where I forget the lead. I haven't watched it in so long. It's where the guy that owns the business, he comes riding in with an RV, and everybody else is in the tents.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
what
it's
you
kind
do,
of
right?
it can kind of be like that. And the funny thing is, now that we have an RV, so the RV we have now, this is our second RV. Our first RV that we purchased um it was a 2000, so it was, several years old. The one we have now isn't much newer, but anyway, like some of these places that you go and some of these campgrounds that you go to, like you pull in and then there's somebody that pulls in next to you with like $1 million rig, and you're like, ooh.
Right. It's like comparison. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so it's funny. And then you see other people that have older rigs too. And so like the biggest thing that we like to always just look at is, it's so refreshing when you see a variety,
Yeah. How fun.
Myrtle Beach State Park in South Carolina was one of those places that we went that we really enjoyed seeing that, because you had people in tents, you had people in just like the pop-up type,
Yeah.
campers. You had people
buses.
in, converted school buses.
Yes.
I mean, there was just this whole really range of different people that are choosing to live this lifestyle in whatever ways that they can,
Okay.
and on whatever, budget that they have.
Well, I have a question for you. I don't want to interrupt you, but people are like, okay, I'm on I'm on this Facebook Live and we're talking about RVing, but I want to go somewhere with you guys. I want to know, you had mentioned it earlier when we first got on today, that you run successful businesses online, and people out there, you guys don't understand, they really operate at a high level with their online business. So I want to know, how can you be able to take the time and have the resources to be able to do what you're loving with the glamping and the lifestyle and with your kids? How do you do something like that?
Yeah. So a lot of that has come down to how we've structured our businesses over time. So when we started our businesses, it was like we were running like chickens with our heads cut off. It was Ben and I were everything. Like we were doing every single thing. We were in every single position. We were doing all of our own social media. I mean, it was like the two-man show. And with this goal in mind of time and location freedom, that's all well and fine, because we can still do that. But the time freedom piece starts to go away.
It's not sustainable.
And it's not like Ben said, it's not sustainable. If, it's interesting. I've heard people say that entrepreneurs are the only people that will give up a 40-hour work week to work 80 hours,
Yeah.
and it's really easy for that to happen. And so what we started doing early on is, as soon as we were at the point where we could start outsourcing just little pieces here and there, we really started building a team. So now we are at the point where we have a lot of people that are on our team that are helping us move our businesses forward, so where we're not having to do the daily, kind of management pieces of the business, but we can really focus on then what are the next steps to grow our businesses to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that look like? And then of course, focus on things like putting together fun videos to inspire other people, and all of those things, and to just really be an inspiration for those that maybe have an aspiration of doing something different, or,
Mm-hmm.
they're stuck at a job that they just don't love. They dread Monday morning, they're just living for the weekend. And they're ready to do something different, and they're not doing what they're passionate about. And so, we really enjoy too talking to other people and helping other people just kind of, maybe identify those areas that could be a potential business. Because with the day and age of the internet that we have, and so many things are online based, that there are so many things that can be done, either remotely or even travel. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know your wife is a nurse. There are so many people that choose to live the RV lifestyle that do travel nursing. So they travel from one location to the next, and they live in their RV, and they take those, kind of somewhat temporary type of contracts in different hospitals or different medical facilities around the United States. But it's a great way that they can, use their profession in a way that lets them be mobile.
Yeah. I think a lot of people know that the internet is valuable, that you can run a business remotely, you can do things different. But I do think there's a lot of people in the audience watching today that maybe they're clueless, not that they don't get it, but they don't know how to do it. So your situation, you and Ben, um, a few years ago, would you mind sharing what business or what businesses that you run, and just give us a little bit of backstory, like just briefly, what was your life like before you started your online businesses, and and then what kind of decisions did you have to make to get to where you are today?
Yeah, no, it's good. Do you want to talk a little bit about where you were
Yeah.
even 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. So 2 to 3 years ago, I was working in what I call cubicle land, and just wasn't very happy. I was going into work, and there was a lot of politics involved, and it just kind of a negative environment, and um, I just was not happy. So I wanted to have the flexibility to, when my son, was out of school for the day, to be able to go play with him at the park or go to the movies whenever. And I didn't have that. I just had to drive into work, commute. There's about an hour commute every day, and it was kind of wearing on me. So I kind of had a big why, and that's what I usually tell people, is really just to understand kind of what your why is, because if you don't have that, you're not going to have the drive to change anything. So that was really my why. I wanted to put in place a plan that I could um, slowly migrate over and work in the background while I work my day job. And that's kind of what I did. I started um, an Amazon business as kind of our catalyst to get me out of my day job.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly, just on nights and weekends, slowly kind of built that business up over 2 years, and got to the point to where it replaced my income.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so a lot of that, like, so how we got started was we got started with a training that we took, called the Amazing Selling Machine. And that was the training that really set us up for success. And so I would, do the training modules. It's 100% online, on demand kind of thing, move at your own pace. And so we would be going through the training together, but not together, like, just independent of each other, but we're moving through the training, kind of at the same time on a similar timeline. And because Ben was working a day job, I did a lot more of the business startup things, as far as like, researching products and, things like that, just because I had a little bit more available time, being at home with the kids at the time. Because at the time, our son would have been like in kindergarten and our daughter would have been in preschool. So I had like, 3-ish hours in the mornings that I didn't have, the kids, that I could focus on that. And so I really dug into that while Ben was, because he's working a day job. So there was a lot of things that I kind of took the reins on, to sort of, the startup processes. And then we grew that forward. We purposefully did not take any income from this business when we started it for 2.5 years. because
Wow.
our long-term plan was to get Ben out of his job. And we knew that to get him out of his job, we needed to grow this to the point it could replace that income. And so we just reinvested every single bit that we made out of the business into the business and adding more products to our product line, all of that, to be able to grow it to where, like, there's an analogy that I've heard that I like, that when you're looking at, leaving a day job or leaving one job to go to, a business that you started, you want to make sure that you've got the boat as close to the dock and it's not a far swim from the dock to the boat.
Yeah, that's
And
great
so
wisdom. Yeah.
we wanted to make sure that that boat was as close to the dock as possible. Before that, he left his day job and we just jumped into full-time, self-employment and full-time, entrepreneur things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really kind of what we did. And then, so he left his job. It would have been in May of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So we did kind of our first really long trip in 2018, and we were gone for 6 weeks. And then we came back, and it was like right at the end of July, and we were like dying. We're like, why? Like, are we still home? Like, why did we come back home already? Like, we have more time. We could be out still,
Yeah.
So this year in 2019, we scheduled ourselves, like we left, like literally the kids' last day of school, which was a half day, we left that afternoon
Awesome.
to go out on the road for the whole summer. And then we came back as close as we could to when that they would need to be back to start school and have those, like teacher meetings, meet and greet and stuff like that. So we were like looking at the school calendar being like, all right, when is the absolute latest we can come back?
Right. Yeah. Well, you guys, there's a couple things I'm seeing because I know your story personally, and I've seen it develop over the last few years. There's a couple of key things that I heard you say. You reinvested pretty much every dime for 2 years. That takes dedication. And going back to Ben, your point, it sounds like you guys were really at a point that you just needed to start living the life you wanted to live, and you had to sacrifice. You literally sacrificed in order to attain something. And you've done this consistently, and now you are where you are. So the question that I have for you, or well, how about this? How about, if you don't mind, our viewers that are watching, those people that are out there, they're working the 9 to 5, or they have a business idea, or they're thinking about, well, that sounds like a fun thing to do on Amazon, like to start my own business, or whatever that thing may be that's in their heart to do, that God's put in their heart. What kind of wisdom or advice would either one of you give to somebody that's going, man, I've got this dream in my heart, but here's my current circumstance, and man, I don't know how I'm going to get past this thing. Can you give just basic wisdom for people that are out there, how to get past that so they can start living their best life like you guys are doing?
Yeah. I'll say kind of one thing that we did and that worked for us is we have a mentor couple that we meet with every once in a while, and an older couple that really pours wisdom into us, which we really need. And they gave us a recommendation. We told them we want to go out in the RV with our kids, and we want to be able to just make some memories while the kids are still young and think we're cool. So and before the brains fall out,
Right.
But we really wanted to do that. And so we were trying to figure out, okay, how can we actually make this happen? And one thing that they told us to do is, why don't you guys go RV shopping? I mean, you don't have to buy
Yeah,
anything.
and we weren't like anywhere at the point
we
where we
didn't,
were ready
no.
to buy an RV or
No.
anything like that at all.
So
But
Ben, you're still working at this time.
he's still working his day job. I mean, this is like January too. I mean, it's
Right.
cold.
It's cold.
It's definitely nowhere near RV season even,
Yeah. So we're going window shopping, right? We don't have the money yet, but we're going to dream. So we go to Lazy Days, our local Lazy Days near us, and they've got a ton of RVs. So what we did is what they recommended that we do is go take your picture in front of an RV that you guys really, really want.
Mm.
And take that picture and put it on your fridge and look at that, because every time you go walk by, you're going to see that. And it's going to remind you kind of that it'll pull you towards that vision and that goal that you really want to achieve.
Yeah, so it's kind of like vision boarding, where you create a vision board of what it is that you want or you feel that God is calling you to do. Because again, like if you don't have an exact plan, I mean, and we had a plan. I mean, we didn't have every single little detail of that plan hammered out by any stretch of the imagination. It was just kind of an, 10,000 foot overview plan. But having that visual of this is the goal, this is where we want to be. And the crazy thing is when we did that, when we went and we took, just took the kids and walked through some RVs and took our picture in front of a, Class A RV that we were like, okay, we would want something like this. Mm. So, at that moment, we really figured 5 years. Like, this is what we, like 5 years from now, this is where we want to be. And so the crazy thing is it was, I mean, it was not like, it wasn't 5 years. I mean, it was like within 18 months after that.
Yeah. Things just started happening.
That we bought. I mean, it was like, all of a sudden I'm looking online and I was like, this is way more affordable than I thought it was going to be as far as like, purchasing a used RV, and all of a sudden it was like, this could, like, we could do this now, like all of those things started falling in place. And so we actually, when we bought our first RV, Ben still was working his day job. We just, he just took the vacation time he could that summer. And we used it that summer as much as we could with the vacation time that he had. And then it went into storage over the winter. And then, when we knew that it was on the horizon for him to quit his job, we completely remodeled the interior of that RV, knowing we were going to be in it all summer long. And we just wanted it to feel a little bit more comfortable and like home.
Yeah.
And so we inadvertently took on an RV renovation project that we didn't plan on taking on. And we just, originally it was going to be, I'm going to change the curtains.
I see Ben's face right now. He's like, don't
recommend that. It turns into,
we were going to just change the curtains. And then we started taking things down and we're like, this can go, let's redo that. And
paint this white. Paint
it turned into white. Like this full on interior reno in this RV, which was fun. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun project. I mean, obviously any reno project, whether you're doing a home or an RV or something like that, has its ups and downs and challenges, but it was a lot of fun because then when Ben went, like our plan originally was going to be that at the end of May, when we were ready to head out, that he would quit so that, we could go. Yeah. And things just, I mean, Ben had short timers disease. I mean, everybody was like just so ready for this whole journey to be over because it had been 2.5 years. So he actually ended up leaving at the beginning of May. And then we kind of had the rest of May to have him home and, things like that before that we took off.
So this is almost like 2 years now of being able to live this kind of lifestyle. And I'm not hearing anything but dedication, hard work, taking steps as you can. So what advice would you give somebody that wants to start an online business? They want to start today, but they just don't know what to do. What would be, so I know you said first thing they need to do is they need to have a vision. So if you're married, you talk to your spouse, you dream with your spouse, you have those conversations. Single, maybe have a mentor to be able to come alongside, share your dreams with. And then what's the next steps? You have this vision of this life that you really want to live, because like you say, Charity, in your video that I watched on YouTube, it's super important. We're only here for a limited time,
right,
in this world, and you want to make the most of it. So somebody they're watching this, they're going, man, I want to be like those guys. I want to do it. I've got this vision. I kind of have an idea. What's some of the first steps you would give them? Just kind of bullet point, just a couple of steps they should do today with what they have. What can they do?
If you know somebody that's doing what you want to do, talk to them and ask them how they got started. If you don't know somebody that's doing what you want to do, Start doing some research. What it started with was for investing in an online business training. I mean, it was a training. This wasn't a free training. Like, we paid some really good money to take this training course and invest in ourselves from an education standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And even like with a lot of the video production stuff that we're doing now for our YouTube channel, all of that has required self-education and, learning things, learning equipment, learning editing, all of that. So, if you have a dream and you know that this is something you want to go for, most likely your next step is going to be some sort of education,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's an online business training or whether it's maybe a couple of college courses or something like that. Most likely in most scenarios, to move to that next step for you, or even if you're considering going into business,
Mm-hmm.
our local area, and it's actually set up through the Small Business Administration, which is a federal organization, but most areas have what's called a Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, and they offer completely free counseling for people that are wanting to start a business or are in business. And so that's another good resource that people can avail themselves of, is to go talk to a counselor at their local SBDC and, get some information. What does it take to set up an LLC in your state? What are the first steps that you need to take, to start this business?
Create a business plan.
Create a business plan. Like, there's so many resources out there for people on, how to kind of put these things into motion,
Mm-hmm.
and then start working your plan, in your spare time, whatever you can steal away. We know so many people that we've helped get started in this business that with the training, what it required of them was, maybe getting up an hour earlier before the rest of the house was up so that they could sit and watch the training before they went to work in the morning, or before that they needed to do whatever they needed to do during the day. Or maybe it's, I'm going to stay up late after everybody's gone to bed so I can, help move this thing forward.
Mm-hmm.
So just understanding for, a lot of things, there's going to be education. You're going to need to, most likely get some counseling and or mentoring with business. But the good news is that there are a lot of free resources to be able to do that, or very low cost.
Yeah. What's interesting is I know in my own life, to be transparent with you guys, I'm a dreamer, and I can dream with the best of them. But there's sometimes, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are like this, and I completely agree with both of you, is that if you have this dream, you what do? You go find people that are doing it, or you go find information on how to start, what you need to do. And I think sometimes when we dream and we have a vision, sometimes we have this tension because we see this vision, but we're not taking baby steps to get there. And it may be a long process. And sometimes we try to go past the process, and we live in this tension of, I want to be here, but I'm here. But there's this gap of education and time and relationships and mentoring and all those things to be able to get there. I absolutely love what you guys are saying. You guys are just hardworking people that love family, that run good, honest businesses that are successful. I love it.
And I think, to add to what you were just saying, I think a lot of people get caught up and they stop. They hit a wall because it's overwhelming on how much stuff that they need to do to make this happen. And so they just freeze up or just don't do it at all, right? It's overwhelming. I'll do that someday, right? But I think the best thing that you can do is, if you're a visionary or whatever, I'm kind of a dreamer too, and Charity's the realist. So I dream big, and she's like, hey, did you think about this?
I'm the one that comes and I say, oh, that's awesome, but do you realize to implement is going to require this, this, and this?
And then Ben's like,
and then it might not seem like such a good idea anymore.
Right.
No, that's good, because you guys can be able to really, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, and we really do balance each other out. And so, like you said, there's this, we always called it the messy middle, where, you know that you've got this thing going, and you know that someday you're going to be able to then, make that leap. But when you're in that messy middle, that is when it's hardest. And I think, number one, if you're a person of faith, lean into your relationship with God. That is where he wants to meet you, and he's got some awesome things for you in that messy middle time. And number two, seek out some really good mentors. Like Ben mentioned, we've got, several people that God's brought into our life, which has been such a blessing. One couple in particular that has really just walked with us for years. And so, really having some good mentors that can help you in that messy middle to stay focused and to just, not lose sight of the finish line.
Yeah.
And I would say if you write them all down, write down everything that needs to be done to make this happen, just get it out of your mind.
Yeah.
Call it a brain dump. It kind of frees up your mind and gets it all down on paper. And really you can just say, okay, what's the next most important task I can take today to move this forward? And that's really, it's that simple. If you just do that, and then after you're done with that one, okay, from this list, what's the next most important thing that I can do to move this forward?
Yeah. Do you guys see with the people that you mentor, or people that start asking you questions like, wow, Ben Charity, you guys are doing amazing. How are you doing this? It's like magic or something. Like, how are you doing this awesome business? Do you find that people just get stuck in the middle? Like you were saying, Charity, the messy middle, they see all these checklists, and it's like, I don't know what to do. They almost feel like they're failing, even if they take one baby step. And would you say like it would be a win if you just pick up the phone and call that local government agency and say, hey, I need to set an appointment? Would that be a win for somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what you're going to find too is that outside perspective can mean so much. And a lot of what we've been doing, lately, most recently in the last few months, is we've been doing a ton of coaching with other people that are selling on Amazon. Because what you find, and this is just true in life too, is that we all have blind spots, and you don't always know where your blind spots are when it's just you. And so when you bring in a coach, when you bring in a counselor, when you bring in, somebody with some outside perspective, they're able to kind of help you identify those blind spots. And so what happens is people get discouraged because things aren't moving forward, but yet they don't understand that they're missing some key elements maybe to growing their business. And so going in and visiting with a counselor from your local SBDC, or seeking out somebody that is in your particular niche that offers coaching, that's successful, can help you identify where are those blind spots and where are those areas that then are, keeping you from moving forward. When we coach Amazon sellers, there's kind of a couple of repeating things that we see are super common issues. And people just really, they get so focused on all of the details that it really is a matter of just, it's like usually in most businesses, there's, fundamentals, right? And if you just sometimes step back and focus on those main fundamentals, that's really what you need to do. And if you focus on the fundamentals, you will see your business grow. And as business owners and entrepreneurs, and even as parents, right? We always get caught up in, it's like all of these little details.
Yeah, busy work. And once you start doing the smart things, like what I call them the 80-20 tasks, right? There's usually 20% of what you do gives you 80% of the results, but we tend to focus on 80%, the busy work that gives you 20% of the results. And so it's better to flip that around. And once you start working on those, the momentum starts going, right? You get small wins. You start, okay, I got this done. Now it's the next thing. And momentum starts rolling.
Well, you guys, I could do this all day. I really could, because I'm a learner at heart, and I know people that are watching, they're gonna pick maybe just one thing from this interview, and they go, man, that really helped me. That really motivated me. So I could do this all day with you guys, but I want to honor your time. I know you guys have kids and you've got businesses to be running, but do me a favor, let people know what's the best way to stay in contact with you. I know you guys are already part of our community, the hashtag Live Your Story community, but what are some ways that people might be able to reach out, and maybe they're thinking, man, I want to do a business. I maybe want to do an Amazon business. I like the RVing lifestyle. I like that whole thing. What's kind of the best way people can connect with you guys?
Yeah. So a couple of different ways. Number one, if people just want to connect with us, the best way to do that would be through our website of physicalproductpros.com. And you can just reach out to us through there. We're also on social media. But the other thing is that if you would like to just learn more, or if you would like to maybe have some inspiration, to go over and check out our YouTube channel, which is Grateful Glamper on YouTube. And, you know, just take a look at some of our videos on there, watch some of our videos, you know, be inspired. You know, we obviously very heavily edit a lot of our videos, but we also do try to not always edit out those things that just are about real life, you know.
Kids fighting.
There's so many things that we just have chosen to leave in because this is life, and you know, we're trying to keep it as real as possible. And then, you know, there are things that don't make the cut. One of these days I told Ben, I think what would be really funny would be to put together like just a video that is like a blooper reel almost, you know, but just all of those moments that like didn't make the cut, you know. Just to be able to be like, oh yeah, like remember when that happened, or oh my gosh, can you believe that I said that, or you know, whatever. Because it is interesting, you know, like when you're living full time in an RV with your family, you know, our RV with all of the slides out is 330 square feet. So when you put a family of 4 in 330 square feet for 3 months straight, it's very interesting what happens.
There's going to be some bloopers and like, get out of my way.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so it is definitely an exercise in how are we still going to maintain honor and connection.
So, hey, when you start online businesses, you learn about life, people. I mean, that's really the moral of the story.
So go check out our YouTube channel. You know, watch some of our videos there. You can always leave us a comment on any of our videos too. Or you can, you know, directly get a hold of us through our Physical Product Pros website.
Yeah. So if you guys don't mind, maybe share in the community some links. So that way people can reach out to you. Also, after we finish today, I'll do a post later on and share that information as well. You guys, there's so much more. I know there's so much more to be able to talk about in so many different areas, but I really feel like we helped some people out there today. You encouraged some people today. And I know that was your goal, is to just help one person today be encouraged, be inspired to just live their best life and just start moving forward. So I appreciate both. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having us on.
All right. Well, we'll definitely be in touch. All right.
All right. Sounds good, Jory. Take care.
Okay.
All right. See you. Bye.